comes out already naturally sweetened. So we're pretty much the only startup in the single serve space, and we're really the only natural beverage company in the single serve space. So True Honey Teas, how did it start? What happened? It was kind of an interesting story. My mother right here, it kind of starts with her. In 2013, I was a single guy and took her out for Valentine's Day dinner. And, after we had dinner, she got me a present, bought me a Keurig machine, right? And I had always kind of resisted getting one for whatever reason. I don't know why, counter space, blah, blah, blah. But I instantly fell in love with it. It was a good decision. And, as soon as, I started using it, I started seeing, it's really easy to use, it's really great, but there was like limited variety. There wasn't a lot of things that we could do with it. So, kind of starting bare bones from the grounds up, I, went online, found some prototype little cups for us to use, and then, started experimenting. So I, started taking tea and mixing it with these ingredients, with agave and regular sugar, and I started mixing it with honey and all these different types of ingredients. And it was a lot of fun, but it still was kind of a hobby. I was almost doing a maker thing. I was just tinkering, trying different things, trying something new. And I started giving samples out. So this is kind of where it leads to kind of like lean startup, where you can kind of turn your idea into something that maybe turns into something, is testing. Have whatever you're doing and share it, kind of what we do, like at these maker events. Share your idea, be open with what you're doing, get that feedback from people. And that's what I was doing a lot early on. I kept, everyone I could see, everyone I know, friends of friends, I was giving out samples, seeing what they liked, seeing what they didn't like. And it really gave me a lot of good feedback, tweaking the formula a little bit. And then what really kicked everything off was 2013, we did a Kickstarter campaign. So you probably bumped into a lot of people today who probably have their ideas and are planning on doing a Kickstarter campaign, have done a Kickstarter campaign. I love Kickstarter. It's an amazing platform to launch your ideas. It sometimes gets a little commercialized now with some of these very, very large campaigns that raise millions and millions of dollars. But what it's really meant for is us. Us who are setting up tables, have an idea that's really just a prototype, that have gotten feedback from people and now want the whole world to announce it, put it publicly for everything to do. So that's what I did. I put it out there. I said, put this idea for honey in a K-cup with some tea out to the world and see if people really care about, natural beverages. Do people want, something better? They want more variety in the K-cup, and they did. And that's what Kickstarter was doing. So I kind of jumped ahead of this stuff. I'll kind of hit that at the end. So in May of 2013, that's when we kind of launched our idea, open to the world, and the response was great. We got tons of backers, lots of feedback from people. The campaign was very basic. I made my own video. I should have brought the video to show you here. It was only 1 minute and 20 seconds long. It was just me talking. I spent one weekend learning how to use a video editing program. Took some shots with the camera that's sitting right over there right now, and clipped it all together and just launched it. So the video was there. All the stuff was pretty bare bones, and kind of with that lean startup, I was still testing the product because I had all these prototypes, and I launched this Kickstarter campaign. I didn't really know how to make a K-cup, right? It was just an idea. It was an idea that I had created some prototypes of. So that was kind of interesting. So in May 2013, the Kickstarter campaign was successful, succeeded our goals. It didn't go crazy, didn't make $100,000. I think we got about $7,000 in the end. But I wasn't trying. Something that was interesting was I just put it out there. A few friends and family helped kind of kick it off. But really, it kind of took itself off. It was the community took a hold of it. And it was the same type of maker community that we have here. that believes on interesting, innovative ideas. Doesn't matter if it's electronics or food or clothing or whatever it may be, and backed it. So the Kickstarter campaign went successful, and then it was like, oh great, campaign successful. Oh crap, how do you make a K-cup? So that's where kind of this maker background that I kind of been developing over the last couple years kind of really came into play, because getting into this industry of single serve coffee and tea, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's these massive players. So how can I make a K-cup? There's all these machines that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They would have to be customized. So right from the beginning, I kind of knew I have to make my own system, right? So I started building, and I was in my parents' basement working with Arduinos, hooking them up to stepper motors, cutting, just going down with a drill press and cutting stuff out of materials and making wheels that the pods fit in. Just a lot of really bare bone stuff. I found a way to, just put, the honey into the cups. Just by messing around and prototyping, I found just ways of sealing the filter in the cup. Like, we really had no idea how to do anything. The lids, had no idea how a lid seals. So a lot of that was just finding lids on the internet, on eBay. Bought 1,000 of them for $7. Tested them out. They worked. It was all really constant testing, constant evolving of the idea and the product. So that's why I kind of have my tagline. It took an engineer to start a tea business. So I was an electrical engineer at George Mason University, and I would not have been able to do what I'm doing if it wasn't for what we do here, playing with electronics and everything. And to this day, my control system for our automation system runs on an Arduino. Right? You'd be surprised what you can do with the tools that you're seeing walking around. You can do anything. So yeah, that's what really happened. I'm a big Q&A guy, so I'll just get through the rest of kind of our talk. So after we had that, we kind of started working and we figured everything out, and we started actually just making pods. And it was in the beginning, again, parents' basement. I was just making pods, fulfilling the Kickstarter information, and just really still just trying to get the bare bones idea out there. And then, then it came to this thing like, do we have something here? I had the Kickstarter. I did the feedback from the Kickstarter. People were amazing. I started to have this automation system that we had built. And, it kind of seemed that this thing that was just like a maker idea got momentum, kept building itself through a Kickstarter campaign, through the backers, and it turned into a business before I even knew it. So early last year, that's when I decided, let's try to make this business work. So, I'll kind of transition from how it went into a maker and more what I'll call like the business side of the maker movement, which is like maybe lean startup. So 2014 was tons of just continual testing. So we did tons of stuff. We were going to farmers markets. We were going to every expo we could find to get in front. So expo, the fall festivals, nothing fancy, just a more rudimentary version of what we got going on here, where people just set up booths, and I had a booth, and I went there and I was giving out samples and pitching tea to people. It was amazing. Talked to tons of people. We did a living social. I did, because we were all over the place. We got lucky and got a lead for Whole Foods, and then got entered into the Whole Foods system. Got into a couple Whole Food stores. Did Amazon. But this whole year was just tons of like tweaking the formula a little bit. You'd be surprised what was going on behind the scenes, making things a little bit better, a little bit better. Every bad review I got, or every person who said they didn't like it, I was still bare bones. It's different from, so I'll contract this to the way things are normally done, where I have an idea, and as soon as I want to do it, I start pitching. I go take my whatever I think my business plan is. I still don't have a business plan, or I would have taken a business plan or some document in front of people with money and tried to say, give me money and I'll try to build my business, right? And then I would have immediately spent lots of money on people who know how to get into grocery stores and all these things, and I don't think it would have worked. You know, we learned so much about who our customers were, you know, who are we selling to, what is the core value of what we're delivering during that time, that, you know, it was too soon. And we had to do stuff like this, all this business testing, really getting it out there. There's no substitute for hard work, you know. So I'll just talk about a little bit about, you know, so I saw, you guys know Honest Tea, pretty much. So I met Seth Goldman, and one famous phrase that he kept saying during one of his talks that I saw was his job was to sell tea. And something that, you know, I'm still the maker, still the engineer, so last year I actually tried to make our own type of brewing machine that was open source, and I was just going to give it to the community. But sometimes you have to stay focused on what you're doing, I'll just say that. It ended up kind of being a flop, being too much than we could handle. And you know, you just got to work on one project at a time. And I mean, you see 100 dedicated people here. They're really focused on what their core cool idea is and what their value is. So my job is to sell tea. That's what I say. That's what I always tell people. So yeah, so kind of our keys. You know, I'll jump to the second line that I mentioned, just real world feedback, you know, staying small, getting in front of human beings, talking to them, doing stuff like what this is. I think this was free, right, to get into this? Didn't pay any money. If you had an idea, you could have just come here and you could have talked to 1,000 people, and they could have told you, I like this idea, I don't like this idea. And that's how you turn your maker small idea into something big. Kind of, some of this was meant for more businessy stuff, but just, you know, staying lean, staying small early on until you know kind of what your core value is and what your channel is to succeed in. You know, we didn't go ahead and try to do all sorts of crazy stuff at the beginning. You know, making a machine was a mistake. It led us on this tangent that, you know, a human being only has so much time in their day. We all know that. And, you know, you just got to focus on what you're doing. And being really scalable. I think, especially in our maker community, like building devices and building things that are scalable is the key. Knowing how to make 100 of them, and then knowing how to make 100,000 of them is key to, like, kind of knowing that early on a little bit. You know, with the system I built, I kind of always had that in the back of my head, like, all right, you know, our goal is to make 10,000 K-Cups for our Kickstarter backers. But what if I needed to make 1 million K-Cups a year? I'd have to have a system a little bit that does this. So just having that in the back of your head of, like, you know, is my device scalable, and just knowing what those costs are and stuff. Some lessons learned, kind of mixing it all together. I'd say find mentors is extremely important. You know, even the stuff here, you know, you see all these projects, these people I get, you know, we're all co-mentors in the maker community, collaborating online, but then you're working directly with a group of people that, you know, there might be someone that you're learning from. You know, early on, you know, I'm an electrical engineer. I didn't know anything about the food industry. So I've learned a lot from just experience, especially last year, but if I would have had more of a mentorship thing, that would have helped a lot. A lot of their projects with, like, drones, electronics, and all these things, knowing someone who is in that field, that's how you can get really good mentorship and stay concentrated. You're your own best salesman. I say that because, you know, especially with some events like this, you know,